Hello and welcome to HCCTV Student Lounge. This is a show done by HCC students for HCC students to give our opinions on news, entertainment, and what's happening in your school. My name is Caio D'Aragon. Hello, Carla, what's up?
Hey Caio, great to see you again in our remote edition of the Student Lounge. We will also be joined by Benjamin, Francisco, Josh, Andres, and Eric, and our special guest, Jonathan Garcia, who is here to talk about his career as a photographer and filmmaker. But first, let's move into our top 3 news of the week. First, the Supreme Court kept DACA alive for now. Dreamers still face a long road ahead. The Supreme Court's decision to keep the DACA program alive for now is a victory for hundreds of thousands of unauthorized immigrants who came to the U.S. as children. But it's a temporary victory, far from the permanent protections they have awaited for nearly 2 decades. The unexpected decision may have assured DACA recipients that they can continue to live and work in the U.S. free of fear of deportation for another day. Also, as the states begin to reopen, the professionals in sports teams enter new phases of their return amid the coronavirus pandemic. The threat of the coronavirus still remains. That has become evident in recent weeks as reports of players from numerous teams and cities are testing positive for the COVID-19. In the case of the University of Texas, 13 football players tested positive for the coronavirus. And finally, PlayStation's release. While the specific date is yet to be revealed, Sony has confirmed that the PS5 release date is holiday 2020, setting up a battle royal between the PS5 and new Xbox Series X for Christmas 2020. Now let's begin our first topic, which makes way into a great discussion: Xbox versus PlayStation. Now this topic could take hours of discussion since there is no right answer to it. This mostly depends on preference and specific games people rather use in a specific console. But today our team is here to tell us about some of the specifications and how one console works more from them than others. Caio, what do you prefer, PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox, for sure. So I had both in the past. Right now I have the Xbox One X, which is the latest version to the next one they're gonna release this year, but so far is the one that I have. And I just love Xboxes, and one of the reasons is the remote controller. It feels better on my hand. I just can play more comfortable. It has a different, size and different measure, and just fits perfectly on my hand. And the other reason too, when I was about to buy the PlayStation or the Xbox One X, I researched a lot, and I did a comparison. I watched comparison videos, like a bunch of them on YouTube, and I saw that the Xbox One X has a better performance when it comes to 4K and frame rates compared to the PS4. And they were pretty much the same price. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. And I don't regret, it's just amazing. They have my favorite games in there and everything that I needed to. But I would like to know what Francisco has to say about it. So Francisco, tell me what's your opinion about it.
So my opinion, I'm on the PlayStation side. I have both. I have Xbox One X and a normal PlayStation 4. And as far as the controller goes, I would say the Xbox is probably a little more ergonomic. But I mean, if you're, if you are into the game enough, then it doesn't matter how comfortable the controller is. Like if your hand's hurting that bad, maybe you just don't want to play anymore. But that's where I come in on that. And I think generally the performance doesn't matter a lot on consoles for me. Just because I'm not playing the game to have the best, frame rate. I'm just playing it to have the most interesting content. And I think in that respect, Sony's content, the original games are a lot better. What do you think, Benjamin? How right am I and how wrong is Caio?
You are so right. And let's leave it to the people. Let's see sales, because I just took a few notes here. And according to Forbes, the PlayStation 4 has sold 108.9 million consoles worldwide, compared to the Xbox One, who has only sold merely 46.9 million consoles.
Oh, poor baby.
Let's talk about that right there. And also, VR gaming, the future of gaming. I mean, more immersive gameplay. Does Xbox have that? They don't. PlayStation, they do. So, with those two reasons, because this can go on and on and on. So, there's another reason right there. Spider-Man, God of War, and Sekiro. I never heard of that game, but The Last of Us Part 2, a new game that is just going crazy in the internet. So there you have it, folks. I'm gonna take my side with the PlayStation 4. Let's leave it off.
That's right.
We're gonna leave it there.
Okay, all right. I'll move to Caroline. I don't want to spend an hour here, but if you think you're right, you're right.
Well, like I said, this discussion could take us hours. If you can tell us what you think here at the Student Lounge, that would be also great. Now, let's move into our special guest, Caio. Who do you have for today?
Today I have Jonathan Garcia. He's a photographer and filmmaker, and he's currently in LA, and he's from Houston. So I actually met him a few years ago. We were working together, and I've seen how far he has gone with his work, and it's just incredible. So I thought it was a perfect guest to bring in today. So how are you today, Jonathan Garcia?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. So before anything else, Xbox or PlayStation?
Dude, I'm wherever my friends are. I got careless about all the specs or games. I just want to play with my friends.
Okay, so Xbox, because you guys has already 2 people against me. So Jonathan's on my team, okay?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. My friends are on PS4. Just saying.
Okay, I guess. So let's I went back to the topic, but let's go into photography now. So Jonathan, tell me a little bit, how did you get into photography?
So I got into photography because I started learning Photoshop, and through Photoshop, I needed pictures to do the things I was watching tutorials on. So I went out and started taking pictures, and then I ended up just liking it in general. I started taking pictures around Houston of the architecture and different landscapes with the drone that I eventually lost. But yeah, that's how I started.
It happens. I had some issues with my drone too in the past, but that's how we learn. So you did mention to me before that you actually changed your major, right? So tell me a little bit about the story and why did you change?
So right out of high school, it's ingrained that you're supposed to do whatever it is you study or major in for the rest of your life. And I started overthinking that a lot throughout my freshman year of college. I went in with I went in studying business management, and I just didn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. So I tried to explore different careers, I guess, different majors. I went into nursing, mechanical engineering, hotel restaurant management, just trying to find what I wanted to do. And I took a break. My mom didn't like it. She actually was opposed to it, obviously, but I took a break, and it was much needed because during that break, I found what I really wanted to do, and that was video.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, sometimes, we have so much pressure, especially when it comes to your parents, I had the same issues, especially with my father too, in the beginning. It was the same thing, we got to go for business, you got to, have a stable job. So sometimes it's good. And I did the same thing. I took summer off, and I was, I said, I got to try finding something that I like. And I already had, this feeling for photography and filmmaking. So that's when I started, playing with the phone first, before I even bought a camera. I tried with the phone and said, damn, I actually enjoyed this, and I want to do this as my career. So that's when I actually went to HCC to pursue a certificate in filmmaking.
I started off the same way, watching Casey Neistat, MKBHD, and I was just using my iPhone 6 Plus at the time. That's all I was using. And then I started making travel videos, and people were asking oh, what'd you shoot this on? I told them my phone. But yeah, it doesn't matter the tool for sure, just get started.
Yeah, and I think that's something that everybody thinks too much before they start. No, I need to invest a lot of money into that first, buy a really expensive camera, and the reality, you don't really need that. At first, you gotta try with what you have in hand. If it's your computer webcam, the camera you have, go out with your computer, take a photo like this. As long as at least you try it. And that's how we're gonna learn. So and that's how I learned, that's how you learn, and that's how a lot of people learn, by starting from the zero and getting better at it. So
exactly.
And so tell me a little bit of the types of jobs you've done so far, and especially in LA too. How did you get there?
So when I went to school, I was freelancing on the side, and I highly recommend doing or like interning or freelancing in your career, because that's the most experience you can get, sometimes even more than school. But yeah, I was freelancing, doing promos, spec work, which is the work you do for fun, like passion projects and work that you want to get hired for, quinceañeras, but I also had to pay the bills, which is why I did the quinces, and weddings, corporate work, commercial work, short films here and there, but nothing too major. And in terms of moving to LA, I visited LA at a producers conference. It's called the Produce By Conference, I think, in 2018. And I just fell in love with it here. Like, the weather was amazing. The scenery was great. Beaches and mountains, like you know, we don't get that in Houston. So ever since I left, ever since I went back to Houston, I knew I wanted to be here. And I found an internship for a YouTube channel that I was watching. It's called The Future. And I watched them while I was freelancing, because we teach you how to make money doing what you love. And so once I saw like an opening for an internship here, I took it. It's in Santa Monica. And oddly enough, two of the creative directors that work here were doing a meetup in Houston, like 2 weeks after I applied. And then, so I went to that meetup. I did a little recap video overnight of the meetup, and just like got me a little bonus points for the internship. And then 2 weeks after I graduated, I moved out here, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's a really good story. See, like, sometimes you know, you went to the conference, you did a video like this, you know, that was a lot of pressure, but you know, it was the right thing to do, because again, you know, you're doing what you like, and you know, you got a great opportunity. So sometimes we need to, you know, get out of our comfort zone and try hard, because eventually you're gonna get something good. So that's pretty inspiring. And talk about inspiration, during those tough times of coronavirus, you know, everything locked down, I know it's really hard to be creative, you know. So tell me a little bit, how do you find inspiration, you know, like how do you keep yourself from not going crazy?
Oh, that's a tough one. Like with the rest of life, you got to do what you can with what you have. So, and just only focus on things that are inside your control. So I still go into the office, nobody else is here. And I started taking pictures of the building just because I needed to do something creative. And I would go outside, go on the roof, and just take pictures of the sunset, do anything I could to take pictures. And even then, like, I started learning more things outside of my medium. So I started learning 3D, motion graphics, and just trying to combine like what I liked in photography and making that art in 3D.
That's pretty cool. And in that note too, I know that some things, you know, especially me, like I think that one good step to learn filmmaking is through photography, because some things are, you know, like some camera functions like shutter speed and those things you learn into photography, like composition, and you can take that to filmmaking, right? So you think that learning photography first helped you in your career as a filmmaker?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had one professor back in college. He said, if every shot of your film looks like it could be a photograph, then that's amazing. That's the goal for sure. It slows you down and teaches you about composition and lighting, and yeah, it just helps you grow for sure.
That's a really good tip. I like that. I never heard this before, but that's something to think about it. So in that note about tips and recommendations, like what would you tell a student or someone that wanted to get into photography right now and they're just like scared, or you know, they're being lazy maybe? So what would be your recommendation to them?
Use what you have. Use your cell phone if that's all you got. That's how I started. I mean, that's how you started too, Caio, I think. And yeah, learn the basics. Learn about like ISO, shutter, the fundamentals, composition, lighting, and then editing the photos is pretty fun too. That's a whole different thing. But yeah, just get started. Watch YouTube videos. There's a bunch of resources on the internet for anything you want to do. YouTube's a great teacher.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's how I literally learned the basic of it. I just went to YouTube and just like and we got to be thankful that we have internet today. Before in the past, we need to go to the library and have like encyclopedias and like thousands of books to learn something. Now we have literally a computer, just sit down and search, and there we go. So Jonathan, so we are almost running out of time. Before we leave, I would like to ask you, do you have an Instagram or something that you like to share so people can follow you and see your work?
Yeah, so if you want to check me out, I'm on Instagram at Jonah M. Garcia, JONAMGARCIA.
Perfect. Just follow this here. There you go. So now let's move on to the next topic. Today we're going to be talking about our recommendations when it comes to movies. So I watched Tales by Light, which is a documentary about photography, and it talks about different styles of photography, and the ones that I really enjoyed was underwater photography, how they go, in the boats and they swim with sharks and take like some really nice photos of whales and all the animals under the sea. So it was really inspiring to see how they got there, the stories, and that's what we're doing here today. We're sharing Jonathan's stories, a little bit of my story, trying to, show like how things change, especially when you put a lot of time and effort into it. But in that note, just make sure you check it out. It's called Tales by Lights on Netflix, and it's a great show. So now I'd like to move on to Eric. Eric, do you have any recommendations for today's show?
Hey, how you doing, Kyle? There's a new show on TNT called Snowpiercer. I saw the behind-the-scenes documentary of it. We've come a long way in TV in terms of making amazing visual effects and cinematography. Years ago, we couldn't do what we do now with these kind of shows, and now with the different cameras we're using now, we can do all kinds of things. To me, it is amazing to see a show based on science fiction. We've come a long way in terms of doing action and acting, but thanks to the photography of all types of cameras, we can now do that. I think that this show is definitely a recommendation to all people of all ages. Snowpiercer on TNT on Sundays. So back to you, Kyle.
Perfect. Thank you, Eric. So now let's see what Josh has to say. Josh, do you have any recommendations?
Staying on the subject of photography from earlier, I remember watching a documentary, I don't know how many years ago it was, but it's called Salt. It focuses on a photographer named Murray Fredericks and how he goes to all the salt flats across Australia and just like sits there, contemplates life, and takes time lapses just to see how the earth changes. And I think time lapse photography has always been an interesting way to see just how things change in general.
Perfect. I'd like to know, Andrews, do you also have another do you have a recommendation to do, or any show on Netflix, Hulu, anything you watched recently?
Thank you, Kyle. I have two recommendations. One is from the people that like the science fiction. Is in Disney Plus. That is the behind the scene of Mandalorian. That is for all the Star Wars fans. It's a very good behind the scenes. And another is for the people that like the documentaries. Is in Netflix. That is the behind the scene of Our Planet. That we can see there that they use 4K cameras, and they spend like more than 4 years to make that documentary. Really good behind the scenes, and you can see all the techniques that they use to make the different shots and inside the water and the different ambience. Is really, really, really good behind the scenes.
So we start to run out of time. I would like to thank you for watching, and stay to the end because we're going to be playing the meme of the week or the funny video. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Carolina, it's your turn.
Well, don't forget to send us all your opinion. If you're watching through the YouTube channel, please comment below, and also send us topics that you'd like to discuss, or even if you want to be a guest, just let us know. And also don't forget to follow our special guest, Jonathan Garcia, to see his artwork. We'll see you on the next time on the Student Lounge.